So, what you just saw was a perfectly unacceptable human being who is revealing mucus on their face, which is a thing you do not do. You're supposed to wipe it. But can we still share our heart, no matter what obstacle may not be participating in what we might want that being to participate in? Will we share our heart and the wisdom of our experiences, which can be known as the psyche? But by whatever name you call it, it seems that if we still are in communication with each other, there are still opportunities to share in different ways ourself, so that there might be an expansion, even though sometimes we cannot know beforehand when reaching out to someone who is in our reach. They might be a friend or going beyond the concept of a friend. Can we see the kingdom or the queendom? Can we see the entire universe in the things we do not want to see? Because right now, what will raise awareness? And that is sometimes detaching from the outcome of what other people might do. They might say they have heard everything that I'm saying, but in this moment, we can go to a higher level of awareness that can help raise the standard of living. And my reaction to your reaction is still a reaction about myself. In this world, we have to comply to certain rules. Everyone has to work, but who is the one to question that the work can't be unusual, where in some way we recognize that the president, the CEOs, the shareholders, the scientists, the engineers, the artists, the poets, the regular everyday people working in fast food or commerce, I can name different industries, but will we see the highest to the lowest in each being, that each will in their due course reach, unless they are part of a few who continue to rebel against cooperating, uniting, and sacrificing our sense of self for a universal self. So, welcome to the mirror, for what you see is everything in the entire universe, within everything that you see. And this can keep going. And the different universes, microscopic paradigms, macrocosmic. But, anyways, I feel if we are in connection with each other, there is somewhat a responsibility to see each other as a part of the whole, but not just part of the whole, but to the entire ring that forms the circle. which includes everyone. O-N-E. So, we can even go into another level in consciousness, but we have to discern, is it serving the whole, the ring, the I? So, what is the next step? And sometimes it is silence. And sometimes it's about deepening our tie to the law of attraction. What we give, we receive. In some way, over time and space. But why is it not under time and space? Because there is a part of us that is beyond them. And it will change every institution, every society, every civilization, even planets, star systems. It's all influencing, but how can we communicate to the average person that we can stand for our rights that are beyond materialism, but it's also spiritualism that unifies materialism without having separation between the two? What is spiritualism? It is distributing all the resources of the world fairly, because we all own what is here. And yet none of us own anything, because there is no ownership, because it's all part of the same being, exploring ever new versions of itself. How do we ground this into institutions, to policies, to movements that combine resources, that combine ideas, and that commit to some standard of accountability for what we will and will not accept into our consciousness, which will reverberate at certain points into what most people call other people. But what will we specifically express but a desire to say a new democratic system is the future, where we begin to see that we are the ones that must take responsibility without waiting for other people to change. For we will change what the Spirit will allow us to change, which could be the entire face of this world. If we go into that world within us, which we are all doing on some level, but many people do not recognize it, and that is part of the experience that they are subconsciously choosing to believe in, which is not wrong, but will create a 0 point net energy system that will lose capacity, faculty, psyche through the body into another body that will be less dense. Oh, hey there. I can pause this. But why am I pausing to drink water? But I didn't have to answer that. So, for some people, I know this will be completely unacceptable. But there's nothing inherently wrong with this picture, unless you see that there's a standard from which there should and should not be pictures based on a certain framework that has two or more opposite polarities that are working against each other, not with each other. And so, what you see here is a, a certain transfusion of states of consciousness that went outside the orbit of basic laws that allow for the evolution of harmonic life, of life to harmonically grow through a golden mean like ratio slash style instead of perhaps like and sometimes the words we speak are the words we need to hear the most. But in this now moment, the president, the Christ, the Buddha, the genius, the pioneer is within us. And it may not necessarily be this external position, but it might be. If we can let go of trying to reach the top, we might see the top already within. This doesn't mean we don't necessarily strive for that position, but certainly I understand why this person is going the other way. It's okay. But it's also myself, not another person. And it is a difficult experience for me to face them like this, and I don't normally do it because I have a subconscious reaction that says I am not acceptable. If but why would you want to why wouldn't you just wipe it? Well, in my experience, I have been, and my skin starts to get rough, and it needs to moisturize. I'm going to end it there. I do have tissue. Now that I have shared my spirit in that point, we can go to any point, but grounding it into earth, into reality, into pragmatism, with idealism, the fire of the lion, with the different astrological constellations are what you might call entities, beings that may not have animal-like forms, because they are a collective of different beings on different planets and stars and suns. And so grounding this into our system of law, our system of rights, of our system of consciousness, we can see if people are up to the test. My nose is running, but it's okay because um, I'm not filming, but I actually am filming. Great job today, everyone. So, was that a subconscious self that reacted to feeling the need to have to talk to them and continue talking about what I was talking about? Was that a subconscious self to sort of play with the attachment to having to show people this, but yet still kind of humiliate myself? Was I playing or was I humiliating myself? What did I say? I'm filming because I have, yeah, I'm fine with that answer. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't necessarily have a title that inspires people. Oh, recording a video because he has mucus running down his, what do they call this? I don't know, your mustache area. But we can go to another level. Does it go higher, lower? Does it have, let me take a step back. How do you flip this? Oh, you can't. Whew. I'm not using a selfie stick, so I'm using my arm to hold this. But anyways, is there anything else that I wish to say? The only work that I feel people should express is the one that comes from their heart, in acknowledgement of the experiences we've had recorded in our mind. I don't see these two as separate entities. And yet, I think it's important to say that this world is not an ideal world. But with this technology, we can share ourselves to those who are in our reach, even if we disagree. And you can give out little pamphlets or with QR codes, or you can hold a sign blindfolded that says "Hi" with the Eye of Horus. You don't have to do that. For the eye and the circle of the eye, you can work a regular job, have a secure income. And even though the rules might be a little over strict, and sometimes I would be threatened from my job if I kept pushing the creativity envelope, the playfulness envelope, and yet still complete one's duties, which isn't necessarily an accurate statement in a certain perspective. Is it? Well, following all the duties isn't always necessary, because some are meant to contract our humanity and to not allow us to have diversity. And so, on one end, I feel how we are expressing ourselves in the now moment is the type of character, the type of class, and the type of culture that we are creating, or in what otherwise I would call our work, our purpose, that does not always have to be about doing, but yet still balanced with doing something. Anything that considers that people are more than just people, but that they are a constellation of so many universes, reflecting back to us the infinitude that we truly are. And it may not feel like it, but what we continue to send out, thoughts, emotions, will continue to reverberate into our actions. But where do our thoughts come from but another layer of the constellation that we are a part of? And we are discerning constantly whether it's serving everyone to do something, even though some might try to stop you at all costs, or and tell you you are opposing everyone. But those who do that are the ones who are constantly choosing to go against everyone, even though in reality it's themselves. And people are allowed to have that experience for a certain amount of time before the time runs out. And a lot of these beings are being dealt with because there are other beings working with the evolution. And how do they ground? How do they stand? How do they reveal themselves? But by us expressing our heart with our mind to create that nebula with many colors, with many shapes. And a nebula is kind of a nebulous word because it's not necessarily known what is the actual effect of what we are doing every moment. But we can be assured that when we are calling out the elite that are trying to create a sense of separation between religion and science, between government and education and healthcare. Now, let me reprocess the. I don't. It's okay. There's no real name for it. Whew. And so all of us have the capacity to allow the Creator to speak through us because we are the Creator when we let go of trying to see ourselves as the one from which no other one can realize the one in all, as all, for all, even though it may look like evil people have no good lessons to give. As Stalin, Mao, Hitler, Trump, Netanyahu, Hamas, Putin, and those who are doubling down that Jesus is the only Son of God, or Muhammad is the only true prophet, or, well, that everything that we see here cannot be described by consciousness, planes of consciousness, free will, intelligent, evolved beings working with the evolution of our planet. And so, as this video comes to a conclusion, this video is not separated from the video you've been looking at your entire existence beyond this lifetime. And so I am a reflection of a certain state of consciousness in you, as you are with me. And so the question is, will we dance in a way that brings accountability to certain infractions of expressing consciousness that are based on violence, exploitation, scapegoating, good versus evil, right versus wrong, and still say, democracy will evolve past the forces that are trying to stop it, and the whole party system of politics and other fields that seem so separate, religion and science, and the entertainment industry seems so separate from really being able to give people a strong fire that gives them the ability to be a leader of the people, by the people, and for the people. We all have that same capacity because they were merely reflecting what was inside of us. Welcome to the kingdom, brother. And so, welcome to the queendom, sister. Welcome to heaven, my dear one. I, that sees all, but transcends all. Into ever evolving states that give ever evolving civilizations, ever evolving experiences of joy, freedom, unconditional love, grounding it into our honest expression to see that we can stand wherever we are, whatever field we work in, and even exploring into other fields that might unite all the fields without having attachment to many people still resisting that we can express our free will in any way, but we cannot escape the consequences. And so with this, subliminal the message might be, some might say, but we can all use our voice in some way, even if it isn't our voice. That is the same fire of the heart that we all have. And with this, I welcome you all to the afterlife. That is the very moment one goes through the rebirth voluntarily. Each person will have to go through, but there can be a deep resistance if we don't see that in order for our world to be reborn, it must die, as we see the world in us. Welcome. to the Creator and the creation as one.